Greetings, everyone. This is Captain Strangelife in the good ship world of stuff. Did I just say shit? The good ship world of stuff. Anyway, I thought I'd do a video on a half dozen or so of notorious horror movies from my film collection. The first up, I'll get right into it, is Mark of the Devil from 1970. Now, this film is particularly savage in its brutality against women. It's about an 18th century witchfinder general who uses his position to seek out young, pretty women and rape them and essentially torture them to death. What makes it a particularly disturbing film is the fact that back in the Middle Ages they actually used some of these same torture devices to make people confess to witchcraft, and by the time they confessed they were half dead already, and then they'd be killed afterwards anyway. Yeah, if you have a stomach for the agonizing torment that a lot of these people are being put through, you might enjoy this film. Interesting sidebar to this film is that 2 years earlier, in 1968, another similar film was made about the Witchfinder General, starring Vincent Price, in which he also rapes and brutalizes and tortures to death beautiful young women. Very interesting, yeah? Next up, Deep Red from Dario Argento, 1975. This is another savage and brutal film with very bloody killings in it. Dario Argento is known for that, and this is about a lot of people have called this his masterpiece, but I don't agree with that. It's about an English jazz pianist who was in Rome, and he sees this psychic who has a seminar, and he's in the audience, and she suddenly goes berserk because she has a vision of someone being brutally murdered, and later on she's followed by the murderer who was in the audience, but we don't know that, and she is brutally killed, and then he's drawn into this whole mystery about why are all these people being viciously murdered, and he's trying to help find out what's going on. So it's if you know are familiar with Dario Argento, you got to see this film. It's one of his best films, but not the best in my opinion. This is the best Dario Argento film ever made. Suspiria from 1971. This film is about a bunch of young girls who are dance students at an academy in Europe, and they are residents there. And unbeknownst to them, the academy is actually being run by a centuries-old witch that needs these young girls and their blood in order to maintain her immortality. So subsequently you see some of the most gruesome horror scenes of people being killed that I've ever seen on film. So, and this has music by the Goblins in it, by the way. This is a brilliant film, I think, and very, very chilling. One of the best films horror films I've ever seen. And I remember when I left the theater back in 1977, when I saw it there, I was already a young man in my 20s. When I got home, I was still reeling from what I saw in the theater, and I had to look under my bed. Yeah, check this out, Suspiria. If you like horror movies, you won't be disappointed in this. Next one, you either gotta love this movie or hate this movie. It's from 1980, called the Maniac. And this is a grossly distasteful film, and that's why I like it. It's about a guy who was abused as a child by his mother, and now as an adult he terrorizes women and then tortures them, kills them, scalps off their hair, and goes home and dresses his mannequin in it, and I guess he thinks that he's recreating his mother. But the old school gore effects in here by Tom Savini, who did the gore effects in Dawn of the Dead. So yeah, I like this a lot better than all the CGI stuff. And Suspiria is another one that has a lot of great old school gore effects. Next up from 1981, Dead and Buried. This is about a town called Potter's Bluff, in which strangers come to it, vacationers come to it, and they meet with a very vicious death. And then later on, they're found walking around totally normal, as if nothing had happened. One particularly gruesome scene in here is where a man is beaten by dozens of people with a shovel. Then he's lit on fire with gasoline poured on him and taken to the hospital. He survives, and then in the hospital there's a famous needle to the eye scene, and which begs the question, where did they come up with that scene, needle to the eye? And I had to find the answer in this book over here, Jack Cole and Plastic Man. Jack Cole is, of course, the creator of Plastic Man, and there is also in this book a cover reproduction of a book that Jack Cole did called True Crime Comics #2 in 1947. And if you open the page, you'll see a story called Murder, Morphine, and Me. Now, there's the prostitute and the drug addict, but here is the infamous scene in which there is the needle to the eye, right there. Now, this panel was used in Senate hearings back in the 1950s during the criminal investigation into juvenile delinquency to try to portray comics as contributing to juvenile delinquency. Very notorious, right there. And that's where I think they got the idea for the needle to the eye. And here, the writers, directors, whoever was involved in that. Anyway, last, not least, 1986, From Beyond. This is a very bizarre film. It has, again, very old school gore effects that I like very much. And it involves these two scientists who invent this machine called a resonator that enables them to find out that the pineal gland is actually its own separate organ, all separate from the brain. And when they use the resonator to stimulate the pineal gland, it creates opens up another dimension, and then there are all these strange creatures, bacterial type creatures floating around us, and there's also one particular creature that uses human beings that come into this dimension or come, within range of that dimension. It kills them and makes them a part of it, and it's just got a lot of old school gore effects. It's very, very bizarre, hallucinogenic in many ways. So I highly recommend that. And I got another copy of that film in VHS, actually. So maybe here in the back, I don't know, maybe you can see that. There is a picture from or clip from the movie with the pineal gland coming out from between his head. Very kind of funny in some instances. Anyway, that's about all what I have right now, and if you like this video, you can leave your comments or subscribe, and this is Captain Strange Life signing off. Tune in again next time, and thanks for watching.